Today, we are going to be discussing the concept of transforming feelings of humiliation into the path of practicing. When someone who is equal to me or of lower status insults me out of arrogance, I should still respect them as my teacher and always hold them in high regard. This is the conduct of a bodhisattva. People who are equal to us in caste, appearance, wealth, or virtue, or those who are inferior to us in these aspects. Generally, when people who are our equals, or those who are not as good as us, bully us, I find it hard to tolerate. If someone of higher status than me bullies me, there's nothing I can do about it. For example, if my boss bullies me every day, there's nothing I can do about it because I have to rely on him. So generally speaking, people, they struggle to accept bullying from equals or inferiors, even if it's due to pride, and go out of their way to belittle and insult me. Not only should I not actually hate them, but I should treat them as a beneficent teacher and pay homage to them with body, speech, and mind. Even if they bully you every day, like the Bodhisattva, never disparaging. If others bully you, you should pay homage to them. Okay. Then you start to bow, but most people can't do this. Honestly, I feel more and more ashamed about it. The Dharma is the Dharma, and people are just people. Many of us have become like this. I've said this many times. Why do I say it so many times? Our Dharma is truly excellent. Even a single profound teaching can genuinely help many people achieve realization. Even just one book is enough. But in reality, we've studied so much. Yet, how many people can put it into practice, we don't know. Whether you listen or not, listening is helpful. There is some change. But for those with better karmic connections, the change happens more quickly, and the transformation is also much deeper. For those with less favorable connections or heavier karmic obstacles, or if you lack blessings in various aspects, not only will you not change, you might even get even worse than you were before. That's a real possibility. We should hold it above our heads with reverence. This is what all Buddhist disciples do, turning the humiliation from others into a means for spiritual practice. As it is said in the way of the Bodhisattva, therefore, even when I am harmed, I should do all kinds of good. Even if others intentionally harm me, I should still strive to benefit them, always. Even if they trample on my head, I would rather die pleasing the Lord of the world. This was also mentioned earlier. In order to truly please the Tathagata, one must stop harming and actively benefit the entire world. His Holiness Jigme Pansok, the wish-fulfilling jewel, often made such aspirations. To bring joy and happiness to the blessed Tathagata, we shall prevent all forms of harm while bringing benefit to all beings throughout the world. If someone were to trample on my head every day, I would not resist. I would do it to please the Tathagata. Being bullied by others is actually a very important matter in Mahayana Buddhism. It's a very significant thing. If a person is never bullied by anyone, that is pitiable for them. They will not be able to practice Mahayana Buddhism. Generally, when others bully you, when others slander you, for someone who truly wishes to practice the Mahayana path, this is an extremely rare and precious opportunity. Many people who practice the Hinayana path are especially afraid of what others might say about them. Even if the enemy is seemingly weak, one should absolutely not underestimate them. No matter if they are of noble birth or humble origins, whoever intentionally harms me, I should truly regard and profoundly respect them as if they were the enlightened Buddha himself. Even if the one causing harm is weak and powerless, we shouldn't belittle or disparage them. If the person causing harm has little influence, we shouldn't treat them lightly. Sometimes it's if someone has a bit more power, no one dares to say anything. But if they're a bit weaker, some leaders or managers nowadays, when they see someone without any truly reliable backing, if they're lacking in various important aspects, they become even more aggressive. But if someone has some background or connections, then no one dares to provoke them. Actually, this is something really quite sad in our real lives. It's a very unfortunate reality. Furthermore, if we repay harm with harm, it will only increase the other person's anger and resentment, and we ourselves will lose the conduct of a shramana. Among the 4 practices of a shramana, this is recognized in both the Hinayana and Mahayana traditions. No matter how others treat you, you do not retaliate. This is a fundamental behavior of a shramana. But some shramanas, not only do they not refrain from retaliation, they even harm others with knives for no reason at all. Nowadays, it's common to see monastics committing murder in prison. Such phenomena do exist. In the degenerate age, both the views and all sentient beings are very impure. This is the evil world of the five impurities. Regarding the five impurities, sentient beings, views, the world, and others. As things become more impure, anything can happen. This situation can unfortunately lead to both involved parties being harmed and both bearing a share of the responsibility and faults. If you do not repay resentment with resentment, then you become a person endowed with true patience, and you will also be free from faults. To practice patience when someone especially weak causes great harm is the rarest form of patience. As mentioned earlier, if the person is very powerful, you have no choice but to endure it. If your boss bullies you daily, you have no choice but to endure it. But if you do not practice patience, if you really wanted to harm them, it would be a very effortless thing for you to do. You wouldn't even need to truly try, just a slight gentle push and they would immediately. But if such a person keeps harming you more and continuously, this is the most important kind of patience. When it comes to weak people or those without any sense of shame, or, for example, subordinates constantly bullying their leaders every single day, disciples bullying their teachers every day, or junior stewards bullying the chief steward every single day. In such challenging cases, if the chief steward can indeed remain remarkably patient, then that is truly quite remarkable. But generally speaking, this is very rare indeed. In fact, this is the kind of patience that is most needed. In the ornament of the sutras, it is also said to be patient with all kinds of wrongdoings, especially wrongdoings of disciples, fellow practitioners. When you treat others very well, but they respond to you with such misconduct, this is a difficult patience. Generally, see sentient beings as teachers or wish-fulfilling jewels and so on. Nagarjuna said, the cause of the factors of enlightenment are sentient beings. Because the 37 factors of enlightenment are related to sentient beings, therefore those individuals who seek complete enlightenment should regard all sentient beings as their teachers. Also, in the Compendium of Trainings, which gathers the trainings of bodhisattvas and was composed by Master Shantideva, isn't the way of the bodhisattva being taught now by Khenpo Tsultrim Lodro? He teaches it every day. When we are talking about it, many people genuinely feel that becoming a bodhisattva is indeed a little bit difficult to achieve. I don't even have time for that myself. I've heard some lamas say that being a bodhisattva is a bit hard, but it truly has very great benefits indeed. Among the two main treatises of Bodhisattva Shantideva, one of these important texts is the Compendium of Sutras. Here it says, revere them like a wish-fulfilling jewel, a marvelous vase, or a wish-granting cow, the guru and the yidam. Sentient beings are like wish-fulfilling jewels, wish-granting cows as well as gurus and yidams. But for us, is that really the case? If someone has a good relationship with you, you treat them a bit better. If the relationship isn't good, let alone a wish-granting cow, they're not even as good as cow dung. You really want to stay away from them. You find them especially annoying. This is also the case, especially for those with a bad temperament. If you have a bad temper, you see all sentient beings. This is no good, that is no good. But if your own practice is good, then everyone appears male and female yidams, all as gurus, wish-fulfilling trees. This is how you think. This is what is taught in the Compendium of Trainings. This is a verse that everyone should learn. When the time comes, you can ask them and debate. It is said, in the way of the Bodhisattva, we treat sentient beings as we treat the Buddha. Buddhas and sentient beings are equally capable of attaining Buddhahood. So why do we only show respect to the Buddha and not to sentient beings? How can that be reasonable? Shantideva spoke about this. Atisha himself once said, it is known that the self is the root of all negative karma. Therefore, it should be cast away like the corpse of one's own father. Even though it is your own father's corpse, once he has died, it is of no use anymore. It must be thrown into the charnel ground. Negative karma is a very similar way. So is also just attachment to self. The greatest enemy, greatest harm is self-clinging. Self-clinging is root of all negative karma. It's the corpse of father. Even though it belongs to you, you have to throw it out. Otherwise, if you leave it for a bit, it will start to stink. That definitely won't do. When my own father passed away, I think we kept him for 3 or 4 days. Then we took him to the charnel ground. These are the teachings of Atisha. Other beings are the source of enlightenment. Therefore, just as if we had obtained a wish-fulfilling jewel, no matter what sentient being, for those of us who study Mahayana Buddhism, we need to be kind to all beings. It's not acceptable to act one way in front of others and another way behind backs. Toward all sentient beings, especially our harmers, we should love them more. Geshe Chikawa said, "Worldly people cherish the Buddha more than sentient beings." This is how those worldly Buddhists actually are. But we are quite the opposite, in fact, however. We should cherish sentient beings even more than the Buddha. If Shakyamuni Buddha were to come, and an ordinary sentient being also came, which one would you choose? We should choose the ordinary sentient being because they are truly pitiable. Haven't I talked about this before? If we have money, we should make offerings to poor and sick people who are suffering. Giving to teachers, whether you make offerings or not, doesn't matter. Sometimes it's adding flowers to brocade. I think it's very important to care for pitiable sentient beings. And I've explained many reasons for this, mainly 4 reasons, like it's actually not a big deal if you simply don't show respect to the Buddha, but all sentient beings are like our parents, and so we must cherish sentient beings. Geshe Langri Tangpa as well. If you look at the mind training teachings, basically all of them say, "May I, with the supreme wish-fulfilling jewel, develop the intention to benefit others, and at every moment cherish all sentient beings in samsara even more deeply. These sentient beings are like wish-fulfilling jewels. I treat sentient beings as they were wish-fulfilling jewels, and to have rare and precious mind at every moment, to love all sentient beings." These truly great masters of Tibetan Buddhism. It is truly admirable, though we do not know if we can actually do it ourselves. Geshe Shirawa said, "Never abandon loving kindness and compassion towards all sentient beings. Show equal respect to all sentient beings and the Buddha, making no distinction. We should treat the Buddha and sentient beings the same way, and furthermore, those who harm us can purify the negative karma of having harmed others in the past. If someone harms me and I practice patience, I have caused others before, and now I experience such suffering myself. In fact, this negative karma is quickly purified, and it also becomes the cause for developing patience. Therefore, after recognizing their profound kindness, we should not abandon them. We should not abandon sentient beings. This truly means that if, towards any being who even harms us, we give rise to thoughts of revenge against them, or harbor the intention not to provide any benefit or advantage to them at any time, and fail to promptly and effectively counteract such thoughts, if we let the time limit pass, then we have already abandoned sentient beings. The way of the Bodhisattva says, if I decide never to benefit them again, or if I insist on harming them, then by doing so I have abandoned bodhicitta. Abandoning bodhicitta in the Mahayana is very easy. If I am determined to harm a sentient being, or if I decide I will never benefit them and sever ties with them, if I am determined to find a way to kill or harm them, if we give rise to such thoughts, then we have fundamentally abandoned bodhicitta, must take the vow again. Therefore, once we have generated bodhicitta, no matter who the sentient being is, whether they are someone who is jealous of us, or someone who harbors hatred toward us, or sentient beings who constantly create all kinds of obstacles for us, we must not abandon them in our hearts. If we do not abandon them in our hearts, then, of course, we will not harm them through our words or actions. If we have generated bodhicitta, except in cases where we are guiding others, if we insult or abandon them, then that is truly a very sad and unfortunate thing. Furthermore, as Togme Sangpo himself has indeed said, whether I am truly guilty or not, whether a person of high or low standing, whether equal in status or not, no matter how great or small the harm, at that time I should remember this vow. Whether I am at fault or not, whether the person is noble or humble, or someone of equal status, no matter whether the harm they cause me is great or small, whatever the case may be, at such times I must remember I not harm sentient beings in the future. When someone belittles me, I regard them as a spiritual teacher. I remember vow. What we talk about, if we can recall even a single vow, then in any situations we encounter, but I don't have much confidence. Today I studied the Bodhisattva's way of life or something like that. Then tomorrow on the road I might run into someone. And if there's even a slight issue, I might say, why are you like this? What exactly do you truly mean by that? This is so incredibly annoying. I genuinely feel like I want to kill. This situation is just becoming far too much. However, Togme Sangpo, whenever he encountered these situations, whether it was great harm or minor harm, whether you were at fault or not, but it is possible that we might not be like that at all. I truly believe I didn't do anything wrong, so why, then, are you causing me such pain and hurting me? I absolutely never said that, so why are you falsely claiming that I did? It is wise to regard those individuals who harm you as your teachers and respect them highly. This means that if you have a mind to benefit those who harm you, then most of the practices and vows of mind training are included here. If someone harms you, I must think of helping them, not harming them. I'll not return harm, I'll help them. If you have such a mindset, many of the Bodhisattva's practices are encompassed within this. The Venerable himself took this as his main practice. Thogme Sangpo, the 37 practices of a Bodhisattva, many of his own lifelong practices, were turned into a single verse. We should learn from Thogme Sangpo. After each section, the author adds a teaching from Thogme Sangpo, apart from the 37 practices of a Bodhisattva, a teaching from his other biographies, and includes it here. He practiced acting on it. Why Bodhisattva's way? A small treatise with such great blessings. That's precisely what I mean. If we are also the content of every single verse, I can recite it quite well. After memorizing, if you practice it in actual actions, then your practice will be, in fact, the words of a truly good practitioner. You don't need books. Take the 37 practices of a Bodhisattva, chant Om Benza Sattva Hum. Put the teachings here into practice. There are only 37 points. If you can do 37 points well, you'll become truly, truly outstanding, right? But it's difficult. It's okay if you haven't encountered such situations yet. But once you do encounter them, the teachings are teachings, and I am still just me.
Bandara